Hi, everybody, and welcome to On the DL. It is a special day for me because I am welcoming one of my favorite people in the world. Austin Delaney is here. Hi, Austin.
Hi, Dana. It's a long time since I've seen you. We were desk mates at CTV,
We
if you
sure
remember that.
were. I
Yeah.
just you saying hi, Dana, like that voice. It's like it's so much of my life and my memory, my work life at CTV was hi, Dana. Like, I just
So
remember
funny.
that tone. It's so good to see you. It's so good
Nice
to
to
see
see you
you.
too. You look
I
fantastic. You haven't changed a
and
bit.
back at you. Back at you. I first have to say congratulations. Huge
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh, for those of you who don't know Austin, you must be living under a rock. But if you don't know his big news, Austin, after 3 decades, just left CTV News, which is
Yeah.
like the wildest thing to me in the world. Yeah, I can't imagine how you're feeling.
I feel great, but Dana, like it's more than half my life was spent at CFTO and CTV. I'm 61 now. I was there for 34 years, so it's a big deal when you walk out that door. You
I
know,
know.
I always think of it this way. So when I wasn't working there, you probably had the same thing. You would pass it on the 401, look at it, and go, "I'd like to work there," and then you work there, and now you don't work there, and it's a weird feeling. I haven't passed it yet, but that will come, I'm sure.
And
How did you
it's
feel when that happened to you?
well, it's like this. It's like a snap, what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? Because I remember exactly that feeling driving. First of all, driving through Scarborough. For those of you who are listening from the Toronto area, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, so Toronto proper, and then you drive along the highway, and you're moving way out of the city, and Scarborough's a suburb, and you drive along the highway, and you see this massive compound with these huge letters, CTV,
Yeah.
and it's like it's really where all the golden people in television went at that time.
Mm,
And I would drive by it and go, wow, my God, could never imagine working there. And then all of a sudden I'm working there.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm not anymore.
Yeah. But if
You're
you
at that
got
stage in
there,
life.
yeah, if you got there, you'd made it in local television. It's
Oh,
the fourth
yes,
largest market in North America,
that's right.
and you made it to CFTO. Remember, we used to call it the Big Nine.
Yeah, of course. I still call it the Big Nine.
Yeah.
And I feel also that, it's interesting that you say local news because CFTO, it's what we used to call CTV Toronto News. It never felt like local news. It felt almost like a national newscast that was produced locally. It had that same vibe, right? It had that all the all the frills and everything that you would find in a national newscast in the United States, you
Hmm.
would find at CFTO News at six
Yeah.
o'clock, and that made us so special. I know, I'm sure you can attest to this. I mean, you just felt so special wherever you went, right? You just
Yeah.
felt like you had access to everything everywhere. You went into a news conference, you had the first row. You went to a crime scene or a fire, you had access to the victims and the survivors before any
Mhm.
other reporter. There was just
And
something very magical about that.
it's exactly what I said when I was leaving. What was CTV to me? Well, it was access. It was access to
Mm,
everything. You got the first question. You got to go to things that other people came home at 6 o'clock to watch because you were
mhm.
CTV. I like to tell the story. I was this close to Nelson Mandela. How cool is that? I went to the
Beyond.
first gay wedding in Toronto. I wasn't
Mhm.
invited, but CTV was invited, so I got to go. What an honor that was! And yeah, you got access, and it was never lost on me that I had CTV's name on my back, and you got access because of that. So I'm gonna miss that. By the way, I was
Uh,
walking. I was walking the other day. I had to pop into City Hall, and I knew I made my decision, but it wasn't out yet. And I was walking through City Hall, going, I'm gonna miss walking through these buildings:
mhm.
the courthouse, City Hall, Queens Park, police headquarters. Like you own the place. Everybody says hi to you. Hey, Austin. Hi, Austin. Hi, Austin. Like, but now I don't work for CTV anymore. So I'm gonna try it out and see if there's any more Hey Austins.
First of all, there'll be a ton of Hey Austin. I'm going to tell you that there's going to be a lot of Hey Austin. I think that that becomes a part of who you are when you live in the same city that
Yeah.
you have worked in more than half your life. But I will tell you that the change is it's nothing anyone can prepare you for. Nothing.
Should I be scared or happy?
No.
It's day 3, right?
Right. No, I mean, I bet you feel like you're on holiday, right?
That's, Dana, that's exactly how I approached it. People say, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What's it going to be like? I don't know. I don't know. I'm a bit freaked out, but I'm going to approach it like a holiday. I've had 3 weeks off before at my house, and I'm going to do little jobs around the house. The windows need cleaning. The lawn suit is going to need cutting, stuff like that. So this is day 3 of my holiday. Day 1 and 2 went really well. Day 3 is going fantastic. So yeah, it's like a holiday, I guess. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I also want to tell everyone, not only did we work together, we shared
Hmm.
basically a desk,
Hmm.
right?
For
And
years.
for years and years, I mean, only at the beginning of my time at CTV, you were on the other side of the newsroom. But once we renovated and went into this beautiful space, we
Hmm.
literally shared a desk. And what separated us was the backs of our computer screen. And
Hmm.
so Austin would often come and sit down, and you would move the screen. Do you remember you would move your
No,
screens and
I
you would
don't
just
remember
pop
that.
in and
But yeah.
just start
Hi,
talking
Dana.
to me about, yeah, like, hi Dana, like, hi Osti. And you would
Yeah.
talk to me about the story you were chasing, the story of the day, the lead story, of course, that you had. And I loved our conversations, and
Yeah, me too.
I just loved how much you gave of yourself to people, and you give of yourself to people, and you do that in your interviewing style, but you also do that with your friends, and you are what you get. Like what you see is what you get with you. And I think that's
No,
why
that's
you've
very
had
kind.
this gorgeous career, because people are so drawn to you because you're the real deal. You really are the real deal.
Well,
And
those are kind words, Dana. Thank you very much.
but
It's
it's
yeah,
true.
thank you.
It's true. So I think that the Hey Austin is going to follow you for decades. That's my
Well,
feeling.
it's funny you say so. CTV, I don't know if you saw it, but CTV gave me the most amazing send
I
off.
did.
It was 3 days. There
I
was the
saw.
announcement, then there was
Yep.
2 days. There was one day
Yep.
hard news, and then the last day, the Friday, was the fun stories I did, being in a
Yep.
truck with a jet engine and doing
Yeah.
loops and things like that. And I said to everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for letting me be in your living rooms and trusting me with your stories. I live in the beach. Say hi to me. Well, I do live in the beach, and every time I walk out the door, somebody's going, "Happy retirement!" I was out for a walk this morning, and a guy pulled over in the car and says, "Happy retirement!" It's like, wow, we have a lot of viewers, so it's been good.
Can Okay, well, there's a few things I
Yep.
want to say to that
Okay.
about the viewers and about how shocked you are about your impact. And 3, I want to talk about the word entire retirement, because I hate that word so much. I do not think 61 is retired. Like, I mean, if you're not going to work now for the rest of your life, kudos. I think that's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't like the word retired. Personally, I don't like it because I left CTV, I was 47,
Mhm.
and or 48, and people were saying, "Oh wow, you're retired." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Who said I was retiring?" That's the weirdest concept to me. Even at 70 something, it was like retiring. It's just such a weird word. Do you like that word? You're 61. Do you like the word retire?
Um, it's hard to say because I don't feel like I'm a pensioner or something like that. I'm
Right.
very lucky. I'm very lucky though to retire at 61. So that's a gift. My
Mm.
dad retired at 55. Linda's
Ooh.
dad retired at 55. That's my wife. But that was too early for me. Way too early. I had way more things to do.
Yeah.
Um, I'm in a happy place at 61. People kept asking me, "What are you going to do? You get another job?" I'm going, "No, I'm not getting another job. If I wanted a job, I'd stay at CTV. This is a pretty good
Hmm.
place to work." So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I haven't thought of retirement as a bad word. It's a weird
Mm.
word because,
Hmm.
that was for old people, but I'm old now.
Yes.
So there you
You
go.
think
I
you're
don't feel
old?
old. Well, you're 61, right? It's you're up there. You're not 41. You're not 31.
Right.
You're 61. So you're
Right.
up there.
Well,
65 is when people retire normally. I'm very very lucky to go at 61. Like very lucky. So yeah, I hadn't thought of retirement as a bad word, but I'm not looking around to do another kind of work. I'm looking around to do some traveling. Go with my wife to different countries: Vietnam, India, Africa, stuff like that. I've got family in Belgium, so I go there every year. and then putts around the house, and that sounds like retirement to me. So
It
I'm
does
not so,
actually.
but you retired at you sorry, you left at 47. That's not 61, right?
No, and
Yeah.
a much different scenario.
Mhm.
Although like you, I did choose to leave. Although
Mhm.
most people didn't believe me. They thought I had lost my mind or I was fired. I'm like neither of the two scenarios.
I thought you were
Um,
super brave.
thank you.
Yeah, that's brave to leave. Like, CTV is a big place, right?
Yeah,
You're there. It's number one for a reason, and to say I'm leaving this behind to do something else, and you did. You went on to do other things, and congratulations. But that's
thank you.
brave. That is. To me, I'm just retired,
I
so
don't know.
it's not brave.
Listen, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah,
Um, but I do think that it takes a significant amount of courage to make a change at any stage in your life, whether you're 61 or you're 31. And the idea of not doing the same thing every day and something that you've been doing for 20 or 30 years does take a lot of courage. And that's why I congratulated you. And I said, congratulations for having the courage to say goodbye, because it is so huge. And I know you're just starting to feel it day 3, day 30, year
yeah.
3. You will still feel that change. I mean, I'm a few years in now and I still feel it
But you're not
all the
retired.
time.
I'm
No,
you're still working. I see your work all
yeah,
the time. I'm actually not working anymore, and I'm kind of happy not to work for a while. It's been 40
yeah,
years in journalism. Before that, I
yes.
always had a job, a part-time job. I worked at the beer store. I was a land surveyor in the summer times. I had all kinds of jobs to go to, but never unemployed. And there's 6 years of radio before CTV. And I just
Wow,
want to plug
40
something.
years.
So I worked
40
at
years.
CFNY. I know. So my last job before CTV was CFNY Radio, and they're doing a documentary on CFNY that I am just stoked to watch because CFNY, if you remember, it was the alternative station. It was what Rush wrote that song, "The Spirit of Radio," about because it was alternative. It was different. It launched so many careers in music for people, and they're doing a documentary. I think it's gonna be out in the fall, but I'm just
Mhm.
dying to see it because it was such a cool place to work. I worked at CFNY. People still remember. I remember you from CFNY. And that's kind of cool.
I don't remember you at CFNY.
I was much shorter.
I think I was really young back
You
then.
were,
Sorry, not to
yeah.
not to not to just, give it to you, but um tell me a little bit about when you said, because I did watch your send off, what felt like weeks of a send off. No, I'm just kidding you, the few days. Um you had said, I'm really going to miss this place.
Yeah.
What is it about the place that you feel like you're going to miss?
Well, I'm a news junkie, right? So every day I'd get a phone call. We need you to go here. We need you to go there. And you go there and there's something going on, right? I'm going to miss that part of it
Hmm.
because now I'm just going to be at home watching what other people report was going on. And I'm happy about that. It's fine. But you miss that. You go to all the big things, like you just all the access you got to stuff. Just Yeah, even the silliest thing like the council chamber, like you're there where
Hmm.
people are making decisions about other people's lives. Queens Park, police headquarters, big stories. The court, I love the courts, so I did a lot of work in the courts. I loved going to the courts, and what I loved about the courts, Dana, was um, first of all, people's lives are at stake. So you've got an accused person in the front there in the docket, and whether or not he or she believes in God, they are praying that the jury, 12 men and women, come back and say not guilty. On the left side, you have his family or her family. They do not believe that that child of theirs is capable of doing what he's accused of doing. And then on the other side, the right side of the court, you have the victim's family, and they want justice. And to be there, you first of all you get to know everybody very well. A long trial, a long murder trial, you'll get to know the victim's family very well, and they learn to trust you after a while that you're telling the truth, that you're broadcasting what happened in that courtroom that day, and it's very very emotional. because so much is at stake. So the jury comes back, you're out in the hallways chatting up, and they say, there's a verdict. And you all go, well, there's a verdict. And you call up your news station, you go, there's a verdict. And everybody gets ready to go. All the live trucks get
Mayhem.
ready to go. Yeah, no, but it's like that though. It's very cool. The live trucks start moving in, the microphones go up, the cameramen get out, get their cameras out, and you're in the courthouse and you're ready to tweet out guilty of first degree, not guilty of first degree, something like that. But so much is at stake with these people in the courtrooms, and then to watch, say, somebody get found guilty, their lives are changed forever. They're going to go away to jail for at least 25 years on first degree. And you don't get out on 25 on first degree. It's going to be much more than that. So to watch them handcuffed behind their backs, let out the courtroom, and when you go to jail, people forget about you. You're gone, right? And so that's interesting. The other side of the coin that I spoke about a little bit was one time I was at the courthouse, and somebody who'd been in jail for 34 years for a murder he didn't commit came out. And that's a gift to be able to watch something like that. So he was convicted of a murder he didn't commit. He wouldn't tell the parole board that he did it because he didn't do it. If he told the parole board that he committed this murder, they would have let him out 5 years earlier, but he wouldn't because he hadn't done it. And to watch him come out of that courtroom and to look up at the sky, and one of the first words he said was, "Look at the sun," like that.
Wow.
And it was like, wow. And I said, "Hey, you want to see the CN Tower?" He goes, "Yeah." I dragged him around and said, "Here's the CN Tower." So
That's
am I
very
going to miss
cool.
that kind of stuff, Dana? Yeah, I'm going to miss that. That's life changing.
But why? I mean, you say you're 61, you feel that that's old, which again, I can argue with you a million times. I do not feel 61 is old. Why now? Like, why do you have peace now? What was it about this time in your life that this was the time?
The time's right. Like we always wanted to get out. Before you're 65, you want to do things, right? I sat down with my financial guy a couple of weeks ago, and he says, "This is your time. The next 10 years, do everything you want to do now, because in 10 years, you're not going to feel like doing that kind of stuff. You're not going to feel like dragging luggage all over the world. You want to stay home. You want to have dinner parties, maybe. You want to have grandkids come over, that kind of stuff." So this was a really good time for me. I don't feel old, so it's kind of really great. I still run. I still swim.
You're still running?
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Are you still eating an apple a day?
I do eat an apple a day. Funny
Every
thing is,
day, Austin and his apple. It was like,
I know.
and
Well, I got
I
hangry.
remember you'd be eating an apple, and I'm like, why are you just eating an apple? You're like, because it's good for you. And I'm like, why don't you eat something? Like, you got to eat. You were always so health conscious, and so like I remember that too. Like you're a great eater, very healthy, and you ran every day. Me too.
I love food. I'll tell you another little thing that people don't know is I love food. I love everything about food. I eat and like dream about food. If I'm having a dinner party, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, okay, I'm going to make this. I know where to get it. My day of buying the food, I'll go to 4 different places where I know that particular ingredient is good there, that one's there. But same with my job. When I get that phone call in the morning and they say, we need you to go to this fire in, Dundas Street West or something, I'd go, okay, what can I eat there? Okay, good. I'm good. All right. And I know little places. I knew a place. It was on Dundas Street, across from the Fillmore Tavern, the strip joint there, adult entertainment, and it was a dry cleaner. And you'd go into the dry cleaner, and you kind of, with a wink and a nudge, you'd go, "Can I get a roti?" And they'd go in the back room, and for $5, they would come out with this huge chicken roti. And
oh wow,
I felt bad for the people who had their clothes there, because
that's gross.
It smelled like a. Oh, I love the smell. I wouldn't want it on my clothes.
Not on my dry cleaning though. No.
But it was it's gone now, and I miss it. But it was like this hidden gem that cops knew about, porters knew about, cameramen knew about, and it was like just a little wink and a nudge. Can I get a roti? Yep.
I loved that. I love that when I started working at CTV, and all the camera guys would take me to different places to eat lunch that I didn't even know existed. And I remember it was a couple times I'd be walking in kind of feeling this is not going to go over okay. I have a whole day left of work and I don't know if
Hmm.
this is a good idea. But usually I fared well. Like usually it was
Yep.
okay. And I would go back and visit those places again because it was so delicious.
Hmm.
And we did get to go and eat things on the run. But sometimes we had lunch. I mean, that was a big thing too. People used to say to me, these were the two questions I used to get. Where do you eat and who does your makeup? Like when I'm out
Yeah. Yeah.
out
Yeah.
and about reporting. And I used to find that hysterical. I'd be like, oh, I have a whole team that comes with me that gets me together and they have craft services for us. I'm like, we
Oh,
don't eat
really?
lunch. We don't eat lunch
Oh,
and no one does
I
my
made
makeup.
I made sure I got lunch.
Oh,
Yeah,
did you?
that was that. Oh, that was a big deal for me. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and you remember Kenny
Okay.
Dishman? We'd always find a spot. There's like
Remember
so many great.
Kenny?
You go
He's my
on
heart.
Spadina. Yeah, he's on on Spadina. There's so many different little spots like all over the city. And one of the great things about Toronto is that it's so diverse. So
Mm,
um, we have family in Anguilla. We can go to Anguilla, and there's a roti hut there. But my roti hut's just as good here as it is
really?
in the Caribbean.
Really?
Uh, oh gosh, yeah. In Toronto, you get so much food
You know,
of different
it's
cultures.
speaking of food, when my first day at SIFTO, my
Hmm.
first day,
Sifto,
uh, SIFTO, yeah, that's what we used to call it. CTV News
yeah.
was CFTO. We called it SIFTO. Um, I was working with a wonderful camera person who said, okay, we were at a fire at noon doing the noon news. And he said, okay, we're going to go get something to eat after we finished our live hit. And I was like, oh, I'm not really so hungry. It's only 1 o'clock. Like I don't really eat lunch so this early. And he goes, listen, kid, local news is like war.
Uh-huh.
Local news is like
This is a
war.
great
You,
story.
he said, you need to eat and pee when it
Yeah,
presents itself.
yeah.
If you don't have to pee and you're not hungry, I don't care. Go to the bathroom and go eat. I'm like, okay. It was the best
Who was
advice I
that?
got. Jeff Wood.
He was right. He
Yeah.
was right.
He was,
So during the
so
pandemic,
much of that. Yeah. I heard.
right? So we didn't. So
Oh,
everything shut down, right? And there was no place to go to the bathroom. The hotels were closed. Starbucks was closed. Tim's was closed. Everything was closed. And at CTV, they did something really smart. What they did was they divided everybody up. You either worked inside or you worked
mhm,
outside because we didn't know what
right.
COVID was. This is the first year, right? And we didn't know how it was transmitted. And if somebody from the outside brought it in and the place had to shut down, that would be awful. So I was an outside worker, so I couldn't come into any of our buildings for 2 3 years. I didn't
Hmm.
I didn't see anybody for a long time. And what Bell did was they recognized that when we're out there, we have to go to the bathroom. Like you just have to. And it's an 8 hour day, 9 hour day, 10 hour day, whatever it is. And they opened up all these Bell buildings that they have all over the city, and they're a throwback to when the telephone lines had big exchanges, and so I don't know what you call them, but they're a throwback. So they're kind of empty, but the computerized stuff is much smaller now. So they got these big rooms with a little bit of electronics in that make the phones in the neighborhood work, and they're everywhere. And they made our
Really?
passes work. Yeah. So they're beautiful buildings too. They fit right in to the neighborhoods, and you just flip your pass. But there was a washroom, and we got to go to those washrooms. And one of my colleagues at one of
Wow.
the other stations, I always tell the story. I felt so sorry for her. She had to go, and she had to go in the woods someplace. And it was just like they had no place to go. She told me
That's
afterwards. I
terrible.
would have taken her to the Bell building.
Yeah, I was
So
just
it's
thinking
like
that. Should have
I
taken
would
her to the
have I
Bell
would I
Building,
would have taken
Austin.
her, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I've peed in the woods at work.
Okay, everybody, get that
Just so
image
you
in.
know. Well, I have Austin, you're on the DL. We share things on this podcast. I've
Okay,
shared
good.
a lot on this podcast. I know unbeknownst to you, you haven't listened, but which is fine. I'm not hurt at all.
I
But
will listen.
I have shared quite a bit about myself, my life and my journey. And I am not afraid to tell everyone that I have peed in the woods at work a couple of times actually. I still to this day have Kleenex in my car, not toilet paper,
Yeah.
Kleenex, because just in case I, have to go. I don't do that now, but I did as a reporter because what are you going to do? Pee in your pants? You can't do that,
No,
right? You got to go to
no.
the bathroom. And I bet
Yeah.
you there were camera guys that have seen me be in the woods. But we were very close. It's
Yeah,
family, right?
it
And
is,
I
isn't it?
mean, well, we can't talk about what goes on in other newsrooms. I'm sure they're all close too, but I felt like, I still to this day, CTV is my family.
Yeah,
They're
me
my
too.
family. I would drop anything at a phone call for anybody from
Mhm.
CTV.
I
That's
said
how
that
I
in
felt.
my goodbye note that, when I came into that newsroom 34 years ago, what I didn't realize that day when they sent me out with, the Byrons of the world, um,
Mm,
Danny's, these are all cameramen we worked with, that they would be friends for life, that we would go through life together. We would go through marriages. We would go through kids. We would go through broken marriages and new marriages and high schools and whatever the kids were doing, hockey tournaments. We knew everything about everybody because you spent
mhm,
so much time in the car just chit chatting about life, and they became your close friends. That's what I'm going to miss, is
mhm.
the camaraderie, the friendships. But I got a phone. I can pick. Kenny's in Thailand, but I'll
Yes,
still
he
get a
is.
hold of him.
I don't know if you remember this, but you said to me, I did not meet you the first day of work. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 days in. I'd already been on air, but you were out running around and
Mhm.
I hadn't met you yet. And of course, I knew Austin Delaney. I was like,
Stop
I'm
it.
going to meet Austin Delaney. This is so cool. And you came up to me and introduced yourself to me as if I didn't know who you were, which I thought was so adorable. I was like, he's the cutest. He just introduced himself to me as if I don't know who Austin Delaney is. And you said, "You're the new girl. Cool. You're really going to like it here." And I
Oh,
thought, "Oh my
really?
God, that is so nice." You're like, "Yeah, you're going to like it here." And I thought that was
And I was
very,
right.
you were right. I loved it.
Yeah.
You also said, you said so many things to me. You also said to me, my first few months at CTV, I was not married yet. I was quite young. And I was getting married in my third month there. And you, you said, are you getting married?" And I said, "Yeah." You're like, "Why are you doing that?"
Did I say label everything?
You no, label everything.
Because I went
No,
through divorce there. I remember that.
no, I mean, I since went through divorce there too,
Yeah. And
right?
that's what we did,
Um,
right? But you cared for each other. You would ask me about my divorce and how are you doing? People cared. They'd sit you
mhm,
down. You okay? Yeah.
mhm.
The bosses
Yes.
would do that.
Yes.
You okay, Austin? Not really. No, it's hard.
Mhm,
I remember
mhm.
those conversations. They're hard, but that was family, and they cared about you, and I cared about them.
Do
Yeah,
you feel like it's the
they made
same
me
now?
cry.
I'm gonna make you cry. Good.
Yeah.
I love making people cry. It's my favorite thing to do on the DL. Do you feel like it's the same vibe now?
It is about the caring. What happened during COVID though is that you wouldn't recognize our newsroom anymore. So I hadn't
No,
gone in for about,
I don't recognize the
yeah.
on it. I turn it on and I'm shocked.
So you remember that big room, right? The
Yep.
big room, and you had the assignment desk at one side. You had some national producers out there. You had editors eating and stuff like that. Then you had our pod. You remember our pod there? And then
Hmm.
behind our pod was more national people. The house reporters were there, and it was a big room full of people. And there was a buzz in that room all the time. But
Hmm.
during COVID, so I went back after 3 years and went, where is everybody?
Hmm.
And it's very empty. So technology is fantastic. Like, look at this, right? This didn't exist so many years ago. But the editors are now working from home because of COVID, uh, and writers are working from home from COVID. And there's a producer there, there's an assignment guy there, there's the occasional reporter comes in, but not much because you work in the field. And so that's changed a lot because of COVID. My understanding is they're going to bring people back at some point. But that newsroom buzz, and that's not just our newsroom. I know this about the folks
Yes.
over at Rogers. They tell me exactly the same. The place is empty. The Toronto Star, it's empty. So that's COVID, and you'd find that shocking because I found it shocking. That where is everybody?
Well, Austin, I don't know if you know, but I did come back. I was back at CP24 and
Right,
at
I know. Yeah,
BNN.
you were down there. Yeah, you talked to Linda down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was back, but in a different building, which was absolutely extraordinary and wonderful.
it's a great
Um,
building, isn't it? Two
oh,
floors
it's the
building.
It's
It's just
beautiful.
fantastic. I
It's
love
just
it.
beautiful, and has
Yeah,
such an energy, but the energy was not there. I mean, it was during COVID when I went back to
yeah,
do a couple shows there, and there was myself and a producer. There was a couple executives. There's an anchor at 2/4. There's an
yeah,
anchor at BNN. Then that's it. There was nobody in the building, which
yeah.
was crazy to me.
I imagine that B&N room was empty
Hmm.
too, because
It was
that
empty.
room pre-COVID, that room was full, completely
Yep.
full, with an anchor desk there, and you
Yep.
had to be quiet because somebody was always reading
Hmm.
something there. Um, CP24 had more people in than most, I think.
Hmm.
There was, and yeah, but they have to. They're 24 hours. You have to.
Yeah.
You had to be there. Yeah.
But
So
I mean, when we were
just
talking
gonna take a.
about sort
Excuse
of,
me.
when we were talking about this energy, um, about this sort of this family feeling, right? Like I mean, I can tell you what I went through in my life was, I can't imagine if I worked in a law firm or if I worked in healthcare or somewhere. I'm just trying to think of other things that I was interested before I pursued broadcast journalism, and um, what my life would have been like, and going through all that I went through, had I been able to go through it if I wasn't with my TV family. My TV family got
Mm-hmm,
me through the hardest moments of my life. That
mm-hmm,
job was my life. It was the reason I was able to get up in the morning and go to
mm-hmm,
sleep at night and feel whole, because the people that were there filled me up and kept me stable and kept me at a place where I needed to be. And I'm always so grateful for that. And so I
mm-hmm.
wonder, is that feeling the same there? Does it feel like that anymore?
Well, I don't really know about the building because I'm not in it. My
I
last
see.
2 weeks I was there a bit,
I
but
see.
I went in a couple of times to anchor, fill in some anchoring on the weekends and stuff like that.
Mm,
So I don't know. Is the camaraderie around with the people I
hmm.
work with, with the satellite truck operators and the
Hmm.
camera crews I did? Absolutely. You know,
Hmm.
during COVID, I worked closely with particularly one satellite truck operator, and you become, all about his family, what he's doing.
Hmm.
His daughter got married. This is what I said earlier. But yeah, you're very close to those people. So my closeness became people outside of the building. But
Mm.
during
Okay.
the time we were there, we were always in there. Like, everyone came in at the end of the day, right? And you cut a story. That doesn't happen so much anymore. You cut in the field more. So
Mm.
you're doing your stories in the field. And like, there's a guy who's been at our station for a couple of years now, John, fantastic reporter. I haven't met him. How crazy is that? Because
That's pretty
we're not,
crazy.
and he lives in my neighborhood, so I'm looking for him all the time. So, but
Oh,
yeah,
so yeah, John should find you for sure. You
yeah,
guys should go
but
for a drink or
oh,
meet
we
each
will.
other.
Yeah, we will. But it's, but nobody went out during COVID, right? But there
Right.
was that too. You didn't do things. We didn't have any newsroom get-togethers because nobody got together. We all stayed home. But that's
Like,
over. Well, it's not over, but it's close to over.
it's over. I think people feel okay getting together and going out. I mean, if you're not feeling
Hmm.
well, then you stay home. But
Let's
and
have
it's the same
drinks.
with work, right? Let's
Let's
have
have
drinks.
drinks. Yeah,
Let's have drinks. Let's
that's
do it. Let's
excellent.
have drinks. Um, Tell me about Linda. How's she doing? Tell everyone Linda's your
She,
wife.
Linda's my wife. She's great. She's really good. So she's adjusting to this world as well, like, because she goes to work. She's a news director over at CP24. Yeah, she's fantastic. You know her very well, right? She's a close friend of yours. She's good. Working hard. CP24 is a lot of work to manage. It's a all news TV station. It doesn't stop. Kids are great. They're all doing super
I was
well.
about to ask you about your kids. Hit me up.
They're,
How
they're,
old are they?
they're
Hit me.
well, Jack's 27. Sarah's 20.
Stop.
Yeah, Sarah's 23.
Oh
Jack
my
works in
God.
insurance. He's doing great. He lives not far from us. Sarah lives with us now. I have a funny story. So you probably knew I wasn't a dog person. Do you know that? I wasn't. I don't
Austin,
know. I was
it's
not a
part of
dog.
my question. It's part of my questions here for you. Okay.
Okay,
I
so I
love that you
wasn't
just
a.
segued into your dog.
So I
Go. I'm
wasn't a
not going to ask
dog.
you one thing. Go
I
for it.
wasn't a. Neither of us were, but our beautiful daughter, she's my stepdaughter. was away at university, and she loves animals, and she was fostering dogs. So she fostered three. Two of them went back after a couple of months, but then there's one. She called up one day, didn't tell me because she knew. She goes, "Mom, Bullet's owner has to go into a home, and he's got no place to go. Can I bring Bullet home from Guelph?" And we had a long talk. My wife and I, we both on the same page. We don't love dogs. We didn't love dogs, and then but we love Sarah. Okay, let's try it. So Bullet was 14 and a half, I think, when he came here,
14 and a
and
half
now I love
months.
no years. So he's an old dog, and now I love Bullet more
Oh.
than anybody, anything. I love that dog. I just love that dog.
Okay,
So
let me
I'm a
just
dog person
preface.
now. How's
Okay,
that?
I have to tell everyone this story. I was
Okay.
covering a story in the beach, uh,
Yep.
aka also known as the beaches at the time.
Yep.
There was a coyote that was running around in the backyards of
Neville.
yeah, exactly.
Neville.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this coyote had for sure had a couple small dogs for dinner.
Mm-hmm. My
And when I
neighbor's dog.
came, really,
Yeah.
was it your neighbor's dog?
Yeah,
One
just
of the
across the
dogs?
street. Well, yeah, back because the coyote was called Neville because he was in
Yeah,
Neville Park, which is a street
that's right.
across just past my house.
Yeah, the
And
cul-de-sac.
yeah, that's right. And
Mm-hmm.
it was in the forest kind of back there, and it
Mm-hmm.
jumped into people's yards and it would snatch dogs. You wouldn't believe how many missing dog and cat posters are in my part of town.
I
And
know there's a lot of coyotes.
my guess
Mhm.
is that it's the coyotes.
So when I came back to the newsroom that day, I remember I did a live hit for noon, and then they brought me back to go live from the newsroom at 6 o'clock, which was fine. And I came back, and of course, you wanted to know what I was working on, and I told you, and you're like, "That's my neighborhood." And I was very, very upset about the dogs that were missing, and particularly one owner. I had gone into her backyard and I had interviewed her, and
Mm-hmm.
she was very emotional. And I was telling you about this, and you weren't so nice about it. You were like, well, that's good. One less
Uh-oh.
fucking
I,
dog.
I think we're going under a bridge.
You were not. And so when
Oh, yeah.
I know, when
I've
I saw
changed.
Linda last year and Linda told me that you have a dog, and not only
Yeah.
do you have a dog, but you are so madly in love with your dog, I was like, oh my God, the world. I don't know. The universe speaks somehow that now you have a dog that you are in love with. I love that you have a dog that you're in love with.
I know. Yeah, I just the whole family loves that dog, and you
And
should see
what kind of
so the
dog?
dog, it's a border collie, and
Mm.
it just follows my daughter around, just follows her everywhere. She goes this way, it goes that way. She goes that way, it goes that way. And then at around 5 o'clock, his little head sticks up, and he goes to the door and waits for her to come in from
So
work.
now you get it. You understand this like
I
of
totally get it,
love that.
and I'm really sorry to all you dog owners before about my bad attitude.
So you know that I have a fur baby too.
You do? What do you have?
Yes. His name is Rebel, and he's a golden retriever, and he was my son's birthday present during COVID a couple of years ago, which he became my baby.
Oh, cool. How
Yeah.
are they? How are your sons?
My sons are great. Thank you for asking. They are older now, which is kind of
It's weird, isn't it?
nutty. My eldest, yeah, my eldest is in first year university. He's
Yeah,
going to business school at Western,
good.
and my youngest just turned 16. Shoot me in the head.
Driving?
Ex- he will be very soon. Yes,
Yeah,
he's into everything. But luckily for me, I have four other children, so I've
yeah.
been able to go through all of this and see what it's like to be with a 16-year-old, and it's not the easiest thing in the world. But I will tell you this, that no matter what age and stage they're at, when you are around for them, like you're now going to be around for Sarah, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
there all the time. You'll say, wow, they really need you. They really need
Ye-
you.
Well, yeah, we've got really great kids. They're friends as well. So I was never a stepdad, so to speak. I
Yeah.
wasn't a father figure. I was Linda's boyfriend and her husband, and a friend in the house. But yeah, we love having them around. They're
You
it's
I
what a
I
gift
used
it
to
is,
love
right? To have
yeah, and I used to love talking to you about Well, I love talking to you about Linda because she is again, one of my favorite people I've ever worked with.
Isn't she super
Just,
cool?
she's just so kind,
She's so
so
nice.
fair, so smart, so beautiful, so tapped in, just gets
Yeah,
everything. She
yeah,
understood every story. It didn't matter what the story was.
yeah,
I could always go to Linda, whether it was a professional question, it was a highly personal question. She's
yeah.
like everyone's best friend, everyone's sister. She was never really my boss. She was a manager, but she wasn't really my boss. And even if she was, I would never call her a boss, but she was such a boss babe. Like she just had this vibe that she could just do anything anytime. And yet
Hmm.
you just felt so comforted with
You will
her.
never meet
So
a fairer person.
no, and you're so like,
Never.
I just was so happy for you when the two of you started to nurture your feelings and your relationship. I was overjoyed for the two of you. I thought it was such a perfect match, and I
Thank you.
loved how your love story played out and how it just felt so right. So it's just so lovely, and I love talking to you about that a lot. That was really nice for me because you were always so open about it, right? I mean, it was private, it was between the two of us, but you were open about your feelings. And I thought that was really a really wonderful thing. And you would talk to me about your stepkids, and you would say that all the time. You're like, I'm just Austin. And I remember that when I became a stepmom,
Hmm.
that I'm not really like a stepmom, I'm not really their dad's girlfriend. I'm more than that. I'm not their mother, but I'm not like this, that sort of that idea of like a step parent, right? It's
No,
just,
you have a role. You have a role to play,
mhm,
and you get to choose it. I remember at our wedding, at saying to the kids, your mother and I chose each other, but
mhm,
you didn't choose me, and I'm
right.
very grateful for allowing me to come into your lives, because that's a big deal, right? Yeah, we chose
Mhm.
each other, but the kids didn't choose me, but we all got along so well,
Yeah,
so
but you're
well.
so easy to get along with.
Well, that's nice of you to say. So are you, you know,
Well, I
it's
can't, I
you know.
mean, yes, but I could be, unbeknownst to me, my stepkids have said, you could be intimidating. I mean, you can be, right? But I'm
Well, my
not
kids say
now.
the kids say to me, "I'm a lot." And they just mean,
You're a lot.
I'm a lot." That's what they mean by a lot. They talk a lot.
Really? You
Well, I
feel?
do talk a lot. Yeah, I do talk a lot. Like there's not
Okay.
there's not much
Are
quiet time in this
you
house when I'm around.
are you looking forward to not speaking as much? I mean, that was big for me too. I felt um when first had left, like the first few months, which I also did feel like I was on vacation. Well, I was on vacation. I got
Mhm.
off the air and the next morning I went to Italy. So I went to Europe. So I was really on vacation when I left. But I felt when I came back, I felt there was this peace and calm, not speaking so much all the time. And then I really missed that. I was like, that's my superpower. I need to chat with people. I need to
Mhm.
have conversations with people, not just friends. I need to talk. Do you feel like you are going to miss that?
Well, I'm worried that I'll be lonely in the
Mhm.
house because I'm here by myself right now with Bullet the dog. Um, but I don't know. I I haven't experienced it yet, so I'll see. I've had time off before where you know I'm a bit afraid of them, but my nose is going to get squished up against the window waiting for Linda to come home. You know, I so far so good. Yeah, it's
I mean,
okay.
it's only been 3 days, and
It's
I
three
have
days.
to say, I feel, this is a non-Bell Media platform, right? I
Yep.
mean, even though that's my family, I still this is non-Bell Media, so I feel grateful that you said yes, that you were coming on to speak with me, and I hope I'm warming you up a bit because um, I remember my first interview, which
Hmm.
was with Mike Boone, my wonderful producer of On the DL. And it was really that conversation that changed everything for me. It changed my life. I went in there and I was a real news person. I was open with him, but I was closed. Like I still was, you're reserved. You do news for decades and you don't give your opinion and you don't speak about certain things. What goes on in a newsroom stays in a newsroom, and what goes on between news people stay between news people. And I was quite reserved. And that conversation started to warm me up a bit. And I mean, it also changed my life in the sense that he had said, you know, when you're ready to have a show, you let me know. So that was
Cool.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It was really cool. But I'm hoping that this conversation warms you up a bit. And I feel like it kind of has, because you know, I listened to it was a brief interview with John Moore, but um you you sound like a news person. You'll always be a news person, but you sound like you're warming up to the idea of just being just, hey, Austin.
Well, I'm talking to a good friend, right, from a
Well, that's
longtime
nice.
friend, and the news part is one of the greatest compliments I ever got from a viewer was they came up to me, a man came up to me and said, "You know, I don't know your politics."
Right.
Nothing better than that. You don't know
Right.
how I feel about anything. I'm down the line at work. And that was one of the greatest compliments I ever got. You know, this is fun. I have a podcast, by the way. It's
I
called The
know you do.
Detective. Yeah,
I
I
know.
really enjoyed doing that. So I did that with Steve Ryan, who was a
Yeah.
former homicide cop, and he's now the crime specialist at CB24. And he opened up about homicides, and the stuff that you want to ask a homicide officer, but they won't tell you that stuff. I mean, there was one point we were at. I took him to all the scenes of the crime, and he says, "Yeah, I remember being here. I remember running out the back door and throwing up after seeing the body." No cop's going to tell you that, but that's part of my podcast. So let me plug it. It's called The Detective.
Please.
It stars
Yeah.
Steve Ryan.
And it can be found in
Yeah,
any
anywhere. Yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
Okay. So I
platform.
was
Yeah.
just going to ask you to plug a couple things, but you just did that for me. See, you're so good. You're so, you've made
I'm
my
opening
job so
up.
easy today. It's so great.
Good.
Um, I don't want to say what's next. And I mean, you talked about traveling and stuff around the
Yep.
house, and you said you don't want to work. Um, I think I'm just going to put this in your ear, and we can revisit this in like a year from now. If you would be so kind as to come back, and you'll say, oh, well, I think it's not, maybe your time at CTV is done, but I don't think you're done, Austin
Really?
Delaney. No, I don't. And I think that
Why do you think that? I think I'm done.
um,
I want to be done. I mean,
oh, you
I can
do.
always
Mm,
I can
yeah.
always change that, but uh, you know,
Well, I respect it. I'm not saying I don't
yeah.
respect your decision. I think that it's admirable, and as I said, I think it's very courageous. But I think that there's a fire um, in news people that doesn't, it never goes away. And I think,
You know what, Dana? I'm curious. So one of the things I'm so curious about this retirement is how will how will I uh, how will news now affect? So I'm a news junkie. So if I'm at home on my day off at 12 noon,
mhm,
I change from CP24 and the little kitchen monitor, and I switch over to our show and I watch it.
mhm,
Days off, holidays, I never no. 6 o'clock comes on. I'm cooking, having a glass of wine. I'm watching our show. Then I watch
mhm,
ABC
exactly.
in New York to see what they're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Um, so in the first 3 days, excuse me, that hasn't changed. It's still on. I'm still watching it, and what I'm doing though now is I'm reading the newspaper a little bit differently. So when you're a reporter, I still get the newspaper delivered to my house, and I urge all of you to get it delivered to your house to keep journalism alive in Canada. Journalism counts. Journalism costs money. Um, but I read
It
it.
was
I
a good
read it
plug.
very. I read it very differently. I when you're working, you read because you have to know certain things. You don't know what your story is going to be. And
Right.
I was general assignment, so I could be at City Hall, I could be at Queens Park, I could be anywhere. And you have to know everything. And I sort of started skipping things that I don't need to know anymore. I don't need to know that person's name. I don't need to know all those candidates for mayor. Now I've got my opinion, but just little things like that. So that's
Well,
changed already.
you'll be a consumer more than, yes, than somebody
Yeah,
working in the field. That'll change. I think that you will still consume. I mean, I mean, I still watch the news every day, and various outlets, and a ton of reading. And I mean, I love the news. I always have.
yeah,
So I don't think that will change. I think what you may have a couple experiences with your nose up against the window waiting for Linda, and you might go, well, I kind of miss speaking to people. So when I say I feel like you're not done, I don't mean it like you're going to be going back full time anywhere. I just feel
yeah.
like you have a lot to give.
Linda
And
says I'll
What?
Linda says I'll miss being in the throw of things when I see a big scrum going on,
Oh yeah,
that I'm not in there firing questions at that person.
right.
She says I'll miss that. I don't know if I will. I don't know. You know what? I was fascinated by the Trump stuff yesterday,
Oh, I was
but
just going to ask you about that.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been there, but I was just
No.
riveted watching his face, how angry he looked,
Oh my
I was so jealous of the reporters who got to be there because
God.
it was
I
such a big
know.
story.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was going on yesterday. But they wouldn't have sent CTV. Toronto would not have sent me. We had our own people there already. But yeah, that yeah.
And I think that also is what has changed. What changed in local news was that there were opportunities. I remember at the beginning of when I started working there in January 2000. And for the first few years, it was a huge story in the world would break. A reporter from CFTO would go, plus a
Yeah,
national reporter. And
yeah.
that changed. And so, that the sort of the face and of news, like local news, started to change too, and where we would be seen was different. And
Mhm.
um, so that I'm sure plays a role also into the evolution of decision making too for you, like where you see yourself in the next 5 years in regards to local news. But I think in terms of evolution for you, um, maybe you'll miss the buzz, maybe you won't miss the buzz, but the second you feel like you need to start speaking to people again, you should. Just saying. Just saying. I never thought I would
Okay,
be doing this.
drop that
Listen,
one on me.
well, listen,
Yeah,
Austin, I never thought I'd be doing this. And
yeah.
luckily for me,
You like it?
I do. I love connecting with people and I get to speak to whoever I want. I'm the executive producer of my own
Yeah.
show. So I get to say
This is
what I
super
want.
fun.
It is super fun. This is a very super fun interview. I've had interviews that are very heavy, very, very, very dark.
I could be heavy
Um,
if I
okay,
come
well,
on
we
every
didn't go
Wednesday.
there.
I
What?
want to come. No, just kidding.
Did you say you
I'm
want to
just
come
teasing.
every Wednesday?
Yeah, every
Kind of like
Wednesday.
an
Yeah,
AA
yeah,
meeting. You
and
can just come to my
yeah,
meeting.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
it's fine. I'm here for you.
No,
No
I'm just
problem.
teasing you. Yeah,
No, you can come on. We can have a weekly thing. People would probably love that. Yeah, I've had some very heavy conversations.
yeah.
But these are conversations that I've wanted to have, and people I want to speak with. And part of my superpower was, yes, I got great sound bites from people, was because I gave so much of myself when I was interviewing people, and viewers never got to see that of me because
Yeah,
I'm the reporter, right? You
yeah.
just got to get the sound bites. So those interviews, people would always say, "Oh my God, that was so great. It's like just talking to a friend. It was so easy opening up to you." And I thought, well, that all that stuff that we were just talking about, no one sees the light of day of that, an editor will, but nobody gets to see that. So that's why I wanted to do this. And
You
now I
do
get to do
bring
it.
your, you do bring you do bring life experience to reporting.
Hmm.
You have empathy. There are very hard days when you're talking to the father of a missing young girl. Um, Rodney Stafford and I have a very great
Mm.
relationship, an ongoing relationship, because of how we spoke to each other when his daughter Tori went missing and was later found murdered. Um,
Mm.
you do have that, and that's because my daughter is missing, but you just have empathy, and you bring that to reporting. It's just the way it is. Even in court, when you're writing the story. It's my favorite part, by the way, is writing the story. It's actually sitting down and pulling
The
a whole
magic.
day's worth of in
Hmm.
whole day worth of testimony and weaving a story. That's my favorite part. But yeah, you just have to we're a lot of people don't think we're humans. They they're down on reporters sometimes, but I always go, we're people. I go home. If I've done if something really bad happened, I had to interview a really bad thing. It's a bad
Hmm.
night for me. Don't
Yeah,
think that I just go home and forget about you. I
right. We're
don't.
not that desensitized.
I pour myself a big glass of wine, and
Uh-huh.
I got to think about that day. It's tough some days, but I think
Yeah.
that's what you did. You brought that to the game. And I think I did the same thing. Is
Absolutely.
you cared. You cared about the person you were talking to. You know, it
Yes.
wasn't a win. Oh, I got that person. You know, we got an exclusive with that person. Yeah, sure, you got the exclusive with that person, but you cared about that person, and you went back to that person later. Like Rodney and I have a relationship. You know,
So I feel
yeah,
like I just got my exclusive with you.
you did.
I'm serious. I do. I was like, Austin's speaking to me first. I've got to get this out into the
Well,
world.
you
Like
might be the only one who asks. I'm
I don't
pretty
think
sure
so.
about that.
I think I think you'll have more requests, and I do want you to come back and visit for sure. I want to
Okay.
hear how you're doing. Um, are you going away this summer? Like, are you guys planning to travel soon?
Yeah, yeah. We're going to New York we pre-planned that just for a holiday, and I have to go to Belgium to visit my family, and then we want to get planning on going to Vietnam and India and
Hmm.
Africa and stuff like that.
Amazing.
We
Oh,
want to do this. We want to do the European tour we never did. So we've been to Italy, been to France, been to Belgium, England. Want to do stuff that we haven't done, like go to Poland, um,
mm.
stuff like that. Just places that kind of you don't go, oh, let's go to Poland, but yeah, let's go to Poland and check that
Yeah,
out.
that's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got travel in our future as well. We did a little bit of traveling last
yeah.
year, and we're hoping to
I
do a little
followed you.
bit more. Oh, you did?
Yeah. You're on the
Oh,
Facebook,
you
I
did.
think.
Oh, yeah, of course.
See how
Well,
old I am?
yes,
The
of course.
Facebook.
Yeah, the Facebook. You just sounded, I'm not going to say what you just sounded like, but I will leave you with
Retiree.
this. I
Okay.
think you should go to wherever you want to go. I think you should do whatever you want to do. And like literally you wake up in the morning and you just like, bullet, let's just go for a 5 hour walk. Let's just go for a 5 hour walk. Let's just go,
Hmm.
just do what you
Yeah,
want to do. And um just enjoy this time in your life. You've
I will.
earned it beyond. And I already miss you on the news. Like I'm already like I'm
So
having
nice of you.
Austin withdrawal, but I feel like I just had my fix, which is really nice.
Good.
I might leave you messages in your inbox. You'll be like, she's calling me again. Why does she keep texting me? It's because I'm gonna miss watching you. But I'm so happy that we reconnected because it's been just way
Me
too
too.
long.
Me too.
Way too
Thanks for
long. And
having me on.
I'm very grateful to see that you're doing so well. It's so
Yeah,
nice.
it's so nice to reconnect with you. I haven't talked to you for a long time. So and I know you're doing well. I watch you in
Thanks,
those
Austin.
commercials. I go, I know her.
Mm. Yeah, it's fun.
Are you
It's
super famous because of that? Like more than CFTO?
um well, I don't want to say more, but
Yeah,
it's quite widespread. The Super Bowl was really big. Um
right.
and yeah, just yeah.
Sometimes they make reservations in Dana Levinson's name at restaurants just so I can get in.
No, that's cute. I've been able to do things that I really had a bucket list, and doing a
Yep.
big commercial, doing a TV show, doing a movie, like all the things on air stuff that I want. But now I've got another list, and I'm starting to work it, sort of chip away at that. And you just keep going because
What's on the
you
list?
got to keep going. Oh, I can't, I'm starting to reveal, but we'll see. Um,
Okay. I'm
Starting
going to
to
tune
reveal,
in.
but I'm very right now, I'm very focused, not today, but I'm very focused on really not celebrating people as they get older. Really, like I really feel like 50 is not like 80.
No,
And I've never felt better and happier, and I feel like you could turn 50 and be amazing, and I really want to start celebrating that.
good for you.
Yeah, for
Congratulations
everybody. Well, thank you.
on
And
everything.
congratulations to you.
Thank you
I'm
so
so
much.
happy for you. Be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Um,
Okay.
Thanks everybody for listening and watching. And where can people find you if they just want to connect?
As I said, I live in the beach. I'm on the boardwalk all the time, and I love when people say hi and talk to me, and yeah, just to connect there or on the Facebook
On the
or on the
Facebook
or on the
or
Twitter.
the Twitter?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not so good at
Austin.
the Instagram.
Oh my God. Okay, good. So
Uh-huh.
I'll say all kinds of things about you on
Okay.
Instagram and you won't even see it. Nice to see you, my old friend.
Yep. Me too. Take care. Be safe. Okay. And
Be
nice to
well.
meet you, Mike.